What is the power of heavenly restriction? And I don't mean this one, I mean the good one. To have truly escaped from cursed energy is to have an ability even rarer than the Six Eyes. One granted with this type of heavenly restriction is able to spook Ryomen Sukuna himself, because having no cursed energy may seem like a nerf, but it's actually hacks. Let's take a look at Jujutsu Kaisen Rock Lee, Toji Fushiguro. Feared by the Zenin family and traumatizing Naoya as a child, Toji was the first person in history and a true anomaly born with no cursed energy. But just how powerful is this heavenly restriction? At full potential or near full potential, you are at near top of the verse in speed. And if we're going by actual statements on like Mach 3 with Naoya, you are at top of the verse in speed. And this is also consistent with Toji being compared to 3-finger Ryomen Sukuna. And how fast Ryomen Sukuna gets between fingers, we just don't know because he ate 10 at once. For all we know, his cursed energy reinforcement peaked at like finger 11 and now he's at max speed. Personally though, I think he'll be faster at 20 fingers, even if it's just by a little bit. But just how durable is a heavenly restricted body? Well, heavenly restricted bodies just live to eat it. Burned alive by Joko, put a little RCT band-aid on it and you'll be okay. But the blunt force trauma durability of a heavenly restricted body is insane. Curse Womb Naoya blitzed Maki across an entire city into a solid rock, and not only did she not take any notable damage, she responded with a punch immediately. And this first attack was noted to be supersonic, and when Curse Womb Naoya becomes his true form, he hits her directly going at Mach 3. And while she is injured from this, she gets up almost immediately and says, "Give me 5 minutes, I'll heal." Whereas someone with cursed energy reinforcement stated they would have had their head blown off if they had not blocked. But it's not just speed and durability, it's striking power as well. Maki was able to deck Naoya while he was in his armored shell going at supersonic speed through buildings. And this punch had enough force to full stop him and send him plummeting down. And if all of that wasn't enough, you're capable of seeing things others can't because you're cursed energy free Daredevil, capable of doing crazy feats like dodging midair. And the hacks don't end there. Sorcerers can't sense your cursed energy because you don't have any. And a domain without a physical barrier is unable to contain you. And its sure hit effect is unable to recognize you. And on top of all of that, due to the nature of the body and soul in Jujutsu Kaisen, a heavenly restricted body has an overwhelmingly powerful soul, as noted when Toji was able to overwrite a seance technique. Personally, I would have loved to see how this interacted with idle transfiguration. So heavenly restricted bodies are overpowered, but what are their weaknesses? Well, beyond the obvious that you can't use curse energy, if you lose things like an arm, well, your arm's pretty much gone forever unless you know a Yuta. And as far as we know, they aren't immune to bullets. So if somebody shot 243 Winchester rounds at you from different directions with curse energy in them, and you're caught off guard at all, you're probably just dead. But the fact that anomalies like Toji and Maki are born within the optimized curse energy barrier of Tengen, that raises a lot of questions, and the nature of heavenly restriction in general raises a lot of questions. Because so far, we really don't know what dictates a heavenly restricted body occurring, or any curse technique for that matter. We know they're transferred among bloodlines, and that's only sometimes, and so far we've only seen this type of heavenly restriction among one family, so it could potentially be inherited. And Toji is the first known person in history to ever have 0 curse energy, and Tengen calls him an anomaly, so I doubt she's seen it either. And Sukuna was also shocked by it, so it doesn't look like he's seen it in the past either. It is one of the most underrated and most busted things in Jujutsu Kaisen. Toji is so legendary, he only lost to a Six Eyes user, and when little Naoya tried to waddle over to feel superior, he instead received decade-long trauma. Oh, but let's go a little deeper. Let's take a look at the nature of heavenly restriction itself and what we can gather from the words of Tengen. Tengen refers to Toji as someone who escaped fate through restriction. And she also refers to the destiny of the Six Eyes, Star Plaza vessel, and herself as fate. So they're not bound by fate, they're bound by curse energy that Tengen is optimizing. I say it all the time, but Tengen is not a morally virtuous character. Both her and Kenjaku probably had the same plan in optimizing curse energy, and Tengen was actively optimizing curse energy. And these two, born with heavenly restriction, have really escaped from not just curse energy, but the machinations of characters like Tengen and Kenjaku. So heavenly restriction is incredibly powerful, and the very nature of heavenly restriction itself is very suspicious. And unfortunately, that's really all the information we have on it so far. But I expect that heavenly restriction will have a far deeper meaning at the end of the story once we fully understand the nature of cursed energy itself, and why these two are the only ones who have ever truly escaped from it. But that's just my opinion, and I want to hear what your opinion is on heavenly restriction in Jujutsu Kaisen. I think it's a really interesting topic, and it often goes undiscussed. And if you like videos like this, subscribe for more. And as always, thanks for watching.